Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Andrew from Federation University Australia, based at the Mount Helen campus in Ballarat, Victoria. As Richard mentioned, I work closely with Peter Dalhouse, who many of you will know. Can't be with us today, but today I'm going to present a project overview and update on the Visualising Australasia Soils project. So, what is VAS? It's we like to refer to it as a federation of data, which can be a foreign concept to some people in terms of it. What's behind it is we try not to take data off people. It's your data, you retain it, you set the rules. You can provision it into a repository, but you still retain that ownership, and what's done with it is set by whoever contributes that. Combination of what's available in public sector data, but I'd say today mainly what I'm going to be focusing is on the private data and the data that's been made available by the partners in the project, of which there are many. VAS had an initial phase, first 2 years, and that was mainly the establishment of the technical and the social infrastructure. During that time, I think we visited nearly every partner and worked through them with what data they had and and the rules by which they'd be looking to provide that data into the Federation. I think one of the key takeaways from that was just the sheer diversity across the groups that are part of the CIOS, so both geographically and in terms of what they do and how they deliver value to their members. And then subsequent to that, the variety in the soils data that they're collected and the shapes and sizes in which it came to us. I think we had intended, obviously, to have, once we'd done some stuff with that data, we had intended to go back and visit those groups. Unfortunately, that's one of the things that wasn't able to happen, because I think that's one of the most valuable things we can do is go out and actually visit the groups in their own spaces. So last year the project was extended for another 3 years to 2024, with the focus in phase 2 being on expansion and really demonstrating the value of the work that's gone in. I think I'm right in saying all the partners are committed again to the next phase, and we've got another 5 or 6 additional groups that have joined up. I'm just going to a little bit about the overall philosophy of what we're trying to achieve. I mean, I really like this graphic, but it's quite detailed as well, so I don't really have time to spend too long. But if we look in the middle here, I think this is something that most people will understand, that traditional science, where we record and collect observations and measurements and facts, and we store them, and then we combine that with our pre-held in the domain, our theories and laws and principles in the domain that we work, and we're trying to combine those two things together to actually provide something useful. On the right-hand side over here, I guess, is the area where we like to work, the more technical area, is this concept of interoperability, which I know gets thrown around a lot, but it's about it's the ability for machines or computers to reliably exchange information, which sounds, in a sentence, sounds really simple, but as we go up through those levels, the effort in doing that is increased, but the benefits are increased. So when we get up into the semantics, we actually get into being able to exchange data with unambiguous shared meaning. So we know that we're comparing two things that are the same, which is really important when we're dealing with lots of disparate data coming together. And then on the right, the left-hand side, the sort of the data, information, knowledge, wisdom pyramid, going from unstructured data at the bottom up through the structured information, which we're often dealing with, databases and that sort of stuff, through to actually creating knowledge, and then hopefully what we're trying to do is actually create some wisdom at the end of the day. The project roadmap for phase 2, certainly the current year, we're really about demonstrating the value back to the project participants, that we've been conducting social research to find what, and I'll speak a little bit more about that on the next slide, the social research. We're then developing a self-serve system at the moment. It's allowed a bit more transparency and grower groups being able to actually get in and manage and set the rules on their data. Then the development of a lot of educational materials about the use of the portal and the preparation and the loading of data. That's in the form of narrated videos. In year 2, it's building upon that social research, implementing specific use cases for participants based on what they've told us, and increasing the breadth and depth of the data. And then in year 3, it's about that sustainability and longevity of how do we set it up with a governance and stewardship framework that's actually going to mean it goes on beyond the project funding. I'll speak a little bit about the social science research, but I haven't been very much involved in it. But it's led by Dr. Alison Oller-Shaw at our Centre for Research and Digital Innovation, and they've been busy throughout 2022 conducting interviews with project partners, looking at the impact of the portal as well as what partners' expectations are going forward, which will inform obviously our future work. The second phase of that social research will occur in the 2024 to assess how well we've achieved that. An analysis phase is currently underway, and it will have a report, I think is due by the end of September. A little bit about the system itself and the system build. My background is technical, so apologies for that. I've tried to remove some of the technical detail out of this, but a lot of work has gone into this, so it's worth sort of explaining. I guess when we started, we envisaged this grand federation of all the data coming in seamlessly, but when we actually went out and saw, what was there, we sort of, the lid was uncovered, and we went, people need help with actually organising and structuring the data that exists in all these different places. So we did end up building this observation system, a very sort of flexible system that can take, in the most part to date it's been soil test information, sort of physical, biological, chemical analysis that's gone into it. It's that data curation on the left-hand side. There's a data team, a soil data team that's worked closely with the partners. A lot of going back and forth, understanding what the data, making sure that we unpicked exactly what all the measurements and units of measure, and they've done a lot of work in setting up all of the green books and yellow books into structured vocabularies that we can map to, so that we're actually comparing apples with apples and that sort of stuff. And then we've developed, I'm hoping more people are now more familiar these days with the term API, but it's basically an interface, a secure interface that allows the data to come out, which, the VAS portal uses that itself, but the idea is that could go into other systems and be transformed into others, so that there's a sort of a pipeline of the process. The data comes in, it's well annotated and structured, and then you can feed that data out to other systems or models or applications. And just in recent times, we've been developing this the first version of this self-serve system, where data can be submitted, the metadata. There's templates that have been developed to be able to provide that data in, where it's not, obviously, if you've got it in good shape, you can submit it in that form, but there's templates and videos now to help with that process, because we found that was something that people needed assistance with. A little bit about the system content. You can see here there's data in the system for 11 partners. There's quite a lot of depth samples, as you can see from the ratio of sites to samples there, and overall close to 100,000 results in the system at the moment. That's for all the private data. In terms of the variety of data, that's something I really wanted to cover in terms of, yes, we've measured sort of we've got data for 82 different properties, but when you take into account all the procedures and methods, that goes up to 327 unique combinations. So just to show that variety of data that's in the system. A little bit quickly in terms of the visualising aspect, this is where we're hoping to do a lot more work, but what we're seeing here is the ability to visualise some soil tests by a particular property, be able to filter by date, by time, and by value, if you like. The ability to sort of chart values, so that trends over time, being able to look at particular properties over time, or down the depth of the profile for particular measurements, and you can add however many charts you want for whatever measures. I'll quickly go through, this is something that's been in the works for a while, there's this spatial reporting tool, so the ability for a user to find sort of polygon or a shape, and then it will summarise the info within that. So if we click on that button there, you start to get some how much data is in there, and also some averages for things that can be averaged over an area, as well as data that's customised to state and territory of sort of public data values, and you can click through to those. Another example from WA saying some WA specific layers. And final thoughts, I guess the key thing I wanted to leave you with is we really want to deliver this key benefits back to the grower groups, and if we don't do that, then we'll have failed. We weren't able to have our BAS meeting yesterday, but please, come up to me if we haven't spoken before. There's new groups and that sort of stuff. I've just listed a bunch of things that we're working on in consolidating and making available as we go forward, and that's me.